So what did we discover? One volunteer wants to share what they came up with. Don't all jump at once. Yeah.
We talked a lot about balance in life, just maintaining different balance and where you're at and how it changes as you grow and finding out who you are, what stage of life you're in, but you always have to have that balance.
Yeah.
We talked about like spiritual, social, work, fitness, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What's important to you about being balanced? Probably a good way to start things out.
I think we said that if you're not, you kind of lose sight of life.
Yeah.
You're too focused in one area, you're not living the full picture.
Good. Good. When you go home tonight, think about different ways that you can maintain that balance, since that seems to be sort of centrally important to you. What are jobs that will give you an equal balance of those things? One of the things that I did when I was in sportscasting was I went to the people who were at the top of the list, guys who were the play-by-play guys for the Mets, the Knicks, the Rangers. They were all people who I had worked with, and I had asked them, what's the best and the worst part of your job? And they also, well, we get to watch sports for a living. That's kind of cool. And they said, but we spend probably 8 to 9 months of our lives on the road. And they said, one of them said, I am missing my children growing up. And they said, we don't have any kind of sense of balance. We're all work all the time when the season's on. They said, now, you know, for the rest of the year when we're home, it's great. We have nowhere to be. It's really nice and refreshing. They said, so that's our trade-off. And they said, when we make a good enough living that when we're home, we can go someplace really nice and spend a really good amount of time with our family. And for us, that's worth it. And they said, but we know for a lot of people it's not. And that made things a little bit easier for me to say, well, at the top of the game, this is what I'd be dealing with, and I don't think I'd like that. The other thing is they said they dealt with a lot of the things that I was dealing with in radio and I didn't like as a producer, which was a lot of bureaucracy, problems with sponsors, all those other kinds of things. And I said, wow, you've really made it easy for me to leave now, because all the things that annoy me right now will still annoy me even if I get to the top of the game. So I went to go and work for the Catholic Church, where there clearly is never any bureaucracy. See, everybody who works for the church or who has worked for the church laughed at that moment. Who else? What's another one that we came up with? If I saw a hand somewhere.
Well,
yeah.
We learned that none of us are doing what would make us. None of us are currently doing what would make us.
Good. What does that say to you about? The assignment was, if you could do anything tomorrow, what would you do? So how would you spend your time if you didn't have to go to that horrible, evil job that you currently have?
Are you hiring?
Maybe. One never knows. Yeah, Kira.
I think one of the things we talked about, and it kind of goes with the balance thing, but I think just in our conversation, we realized that the first thing that came to our minds was like that thing that we're craving, and part of that was just like rest. That's how much I need balance, is that the first thing I would think to do would be just to get away, get time by myself, to go for a walk or walk our dog, or, you know, that kind of thing. And then what are the other things that I love, and, you know, so like how to put those pieces together. But I think it's really interesting that like if the first thought that comes to your mind is take a nap, then you probably need a nap, you know? You probably desperately need a nap, so there's something to be said about that.
I was in a meditation one night, and I clearly fell asleep in the middle of the meditation, and it was a very stressful period in my own life. People were laughing because they've probably done this themselves. When I fall asleep, I have a tendency, if I'm sleeping on my back, to snore, which I was doing in the middle of this meditation, kind of defeated some of the purpose for some of the people, and didn't realize that I had A, fallen asleep, and B, that I was snoring while I was asleep, and woke up and thought I had not missed a thing, that I was just very, very relaxed, and the person who was leading the meditation came up to me and said, "Are we keeping you up?" And I was like, well, no, I don't think so, and kind of walked away, and finally someone came over and said, "You realize that you were sleeping and snoring in there?" And I was like, oh, no, I did not. But I think what Charis is right is that, you know, if that's something that comes central to your mind right away, you probably do need a nap. That's a good point. Anybody get somewhere a little bit farther along the line? Nobody? Anybody doing the job that they love? Did you, yeah, Laura, go ahead. Anybody there already?
Yeah, I am doing the job that I love. I actually lead retreats for high school students.
Ah.
And but I'm going to leave that job and further my education so I can do it with college students.
Yeah, good.
So it's kind of that scary. Yes, I do love what I do, but I need to move beyond my comfy little log cabin right now.
Yeah, good. What is it that you really like about doing what it is that you do currently?
I like to see teenagers excited about God and that they can actually have relationships with people as opposed to just texting or just instant messaging. That when they come on retreat and we take their phones away from them, by the end of the retreat they're like, huh, I actually talk to people. Wow, what a concept. I love that. I love it when it happens.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of like relationship building within all of what you said. That maybe when you go home and you know, one of the things that I found that was really helpful to my own discernment process was that I didn't need to just go out and do one thing. That there were a bunch of things that I could do that for me were inspiring. Just like Lori could probably do a bunch of things in her life that are relationship building. She could be a marriage counselor. She could do, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We just go on all day. And that, our PowerPoint is now working, so. But what I say that really is becoming stenographer, is what I say, is that once you sort of have that sense of where it is that, or what it is that really does get you going and get you charged up, you can then go home and think of all the different things that fulfill that sort of drive. For me, I went home and made a list of all the jobs that could possibly be out there that were inspiring. On my list were firefighter, police officer, athlete, priest, retreat director. You get the idea. What I did was I really didn't limit myself, although a lot of those things are things that I probably really couldn't do or really didn't even have the skills for. Firefighter was the one most laughable. I'm afraid of fire, deathly. I have nightmares about burning up somewhere. I mean, really, it's bad. I don't know where it comes from. I get vertigo going up ladders. I'm not terribly physically fit. Don't think I'm going to try to get physically fit at any point. So this is probably not the best idea for me to take on as a career. But sometimes the crazy things, or the things that you think are crazy upon first reflection, aren't necessarily that crazy. An example. One person I know who did this exercise said that when he wrote down if he could do anything tomorrow, what would he do? He said he would make children smile. Isn't that beautiful? And so he said he went home and wrote down all the things that he could be that would make children smile. So he put stand-up comedian,